Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the R2V Racing League. In today's episode we are off to Hengelo in the Netherlands for a road race on the CBR 600. We're on the 2018 World Super Sport mod. So our first road race. Now this track is pretty fun. I've done a small bit of testing just to get an idea of where it goes, and I'm looking forward to this one. It could be a bit of fun on this, especially on the 600s. So we're going to just jump into qualifying. So you join me here for my qualifying lap. Now, before it got suggested for the league, I had never actually heard of this place. I did a bit of research. It's somewhere in the Netherlands, and it is used a lot for road racing, bikes, sidecarts, all that kind of stuff. But it was actually quite a fun track, and I had a lot of fun. Did a small bit of practice just to get familiarised with where the track goes, because again, I didn't really want to turn up into a race and not having an idea where the track went. And it's good just to have an old feel of the bike as well before you actually go online and race. Just respect the league and your competitors, so that at least you have some sort of knowledge of what goes on in the race. We're half around here now. This is my fastest lap, and it does actually get me pole position by a good 0.8, so it does look like we are maybe the quickest guy in here at the moment. A lot of the fast guys, such as the Nerbs, Zantas, VS Master, none of them were here for this one, so some of the top boys were missing. But Tom was in round 1, and I think he was a guy that won. Yeah, he was top of the championship after round 2 anyway. I think he was there as well and got half points at Spa when I had connection issues. So I am battling him for the top positions in the championship, and you'll see at the moment he is in P1 with a 47.0. We go and set a 46.1, I believe. And small mistake here, and again just a little wide there, but we just got down enough gears that we can get the nose in and then flat out. It's a really quick track, and it's quite fun on this little 600. It really suits this track. You can just throw it around and be quite aggressive with it. The only thing is it doesn't have a slipper clutch, so you just need to be mindful of your back shifting not to lock the rear up, because it can happen, and you will see it in race 1 when it happens to someone. But up the line, pole position. And we jump straight now to race 1. 5 red lights. Can we get a good launch? No, we can't. We overheat the bike, slip the clutch, burn it out big time. Multi-cool fresh on the R6 gets a great launch. So does my teammate Benjamin. He takes it on the inside, but then he's on the outside for turn 2. We just leave the brakes off and slip back into P2. He's right on my back wheel, but we make it so that we get right into the slipstream of the R6 in front. Now my teammate is right on my back wheel. We just pull out of the slipstream just for the braking zone to make sure we don't get any unwanted slipstream into the brakes. And we take a good bit of time out from on the brake, but we don't go for the move yet. Again, early in this race you don't really want to be too aggressive. You just want to make sure you kind of get a clean start. It's really hard to catch back up once you're crashing this. You see there, Multi-Cool Fresh had a big wheelie as he came out of turn 3. There's a small bit of a kicker there, and a lot of times you just wheelie as you shift gears, and that looks like what happened on the R6. But coming into the chicane here, we made our first mistake. He just caught me off guard really about how early he broke, and we actually just run off track. You can see now a gaggle of riders behind me, and there's a bit of a gap to the R6 in the lead. And you see I'll keep checking over my shoulder in this one, just because there's a lot of slow hairpins that you just don't want to be T-boned early in a race like this. So it's all mindful to know your surroundings and make sure you have an idea of the riders behind where they are. So they were kind of battling each other, so I wasn't their main concern. But at the moment, just here you see I downshift to 4th or actually don't until here, but I do lose the rear. I don't know if it was cold tyres or full fuel or what it was, but that completely lost my drive. And that is Tom Hawk on a R6 into P2. So I don't know if he's a championship leader, but he wasn't at the previous one, but here he is now again. And his pace was quite good. He did get pipped in the end to P2 in qualifying to the guy who leads at the moment, but we get great exit on the R6, and we almost try and stick the CBR up underneath, but we think better of it, and we just leave him have the position into turn 3. We try to get a nice late apex and good drive out, which we look to have done. We get to drive alongside him, and he's definitely going to try it into the following corner, and he actually makes a mistake. You'll see in a split second, just as I brake quite late, but he tries to outbrake me, and that is, unfortunately, you can just see the bike has nosedive. He's in hot, he's going to the inside, he's back shifted too early and too quick, and he is into the hay bales, and his bike skims past my left boot, and that could have been me out of the race as well, big time there, but we got away with it. We actually managed to get a good exit on the R6 in the lead. We again seem to have very stable and solid braking on the CBR. We seem to be able to take time out into a lot of heavy braking zones. Again, in here you can see I do take time out of them, so always promising when you can take time of the rider in front on the brakes. It will be handy when it comes to trying making your own overtake. So again, I'm braking, just close up nicely. He just maybe backshifts the first a touch early there. You see him fishtailing the rear end a bit, but we get a good exit. Now we're in a slipstream. Unfortunately, through the sector here is almost impossible to pass because you're doing 150 for most of it, so it's pretty quick. You really want to be accurate through here. So we actually both make a mistake here. He touches the curb, I do the exact same thing, but thankfully we both managed to escape away luckier that one. I did have a look into the fast right there, but again, almost impossible to pass at this part of the track. It's so quick, and at this point I knew I could seem to brake later than him, and I was a bit more confident on the brakes, so I was kind of hoping maybe where Tom passed me and crashed, that's where I was thinking about making a move, or maybe into the previous chicane. So I had ideas of where I wanted to get the move done, and in here now again he goes defensive, so I wanted to do what I did with Tom, take the late apex, but I actually touched the dirt, and that ruins my drive out, which means I wasn't close enough to try and move in to the following right-hander. Once again, just having a quick look at what is behind me, and this time now he's the one who's backing it in. Lots of rear braking. He runs wide and he actually just holds me up mid-corner. I tried to cut back and get a better exit, but he's lost all his drive there now, and we're in a slipstream. We're just going to go to the inside, give him a bit of a wave. He waves back at us. In fairness, he is a quite solid racer and he seems to be quite clean. You'll see there we just tapped the look behind button just to see if he was going for it, just to make sure that we weren't going to turn in on him and have a big accident. But now that we have the lead, it is up to us. Can we get down and get a move on? You see there, Fixer, one of the hosts, wants to eject TUI Tui, and you'll see here why. This unfortunately was one of my teammates that was absolutely clattered. Now I don't know who this is here. Once again, just absolutely murders him, and yeah. So he tried to protest that he was innocent, but like, this guy has been permanently banned from any of our events from now on. And again, unfortunately for him, that was it. In there, you just saw as well, that was P2 by the look of it, who had a big mistake in there and ran off track. So at this point now, I was given a nice comfortable lead on lap 3. So it was all about what could I do now out front. Could I have a Lorenzo race where I just hit my markers and bring this race home? So that was what the plan was, bring it home and see what we could do. Now it is, looks like 83 is Tom, I believe, who was in P2, and his pace is quite strong, so I had to be on the money still, but overall I was happy to be in the lead on my own. Out the line we come, our first lap on our own, and it is a 49-1 after the little incidents we had with the R6 on the previous lap. So what I want to do here was just set some kind of semi-qualifying laps, if I could drop down into the 46s and just bridge a bit of a gap. I knew I had the pace, just was making sure I hit all my markers around this place. It's a fun track, I do enjoy riding it, and I just had to make sure of it here now, because I had a big lead. I would have kicked myself if I threw this one away, and after a little battle at the start, I had a bad start, and that was on my mind that I need to improve that for race 2. But we managed to now get to the lead, and we showed pace in the race, which is always good that we can do with other riders around. We're still making the odd mistake here, just touching the grass here and there, so we're not out of this yet. But the track is rubbing in. You can just see a bit of a racing line up here, and that actually is really evident in race 2. We'll get onto that later in the video. But once again, into this lovely little hairpin here, just back shifting to first as you come to the apex. Just clipping the grass there almost on exit, just you get a small wheelie as you shift to second, and then you get to go flat out into this part of the track. Probably my best part of the track. I really love this. It just takes full commitment. On a qualifying lap, this was pretty fun. Back shifting to fourth this time. Bit of a mistake really. You actually don't need to go back to fourth, but again, just when you're leading the race, you're always a bit more cautious, and this was my first lap leading by myself, so I just wanted to make sure of it. So I was just riding a little tense. First time leading an R2V league race, so I was just riding a bit in myself, so just to bring it in. But we come to the line now. It is going to be a pretty fast lap. I think this is my fastest lap of the race, a 46.7, so about half a second off my qualifying lap. Now we jump forward to the end of lap 5 later in the race, and you'll see number 2 is ahead of us. Now he is a back marker, I think he's called Senna something, but I was catching him rapidly. You see there puffs of dust. He was on the grass there, and I was coming through the sector. I was thinking, oh no, I don't know who this guy is. Is it the 2E guy? I was wondering at the time that they voted to kick. So I was trying to give him, I was just trying to approach him with care, but he comes in here, look, he just stays wide. I don't know what he's doing. He's a quick look over his shoulder, pulls into the apex, and yeah. Don't know, I don't know if it was purple. I heard he was taking people out in practice. Now, I gave him the benefit of the doubt because we didn't lose the lead. But yeah, at the time I was really annoyed at just the fact that he turned right on the apex. Now, it could have been a bit of a mistake. Now you see here I focus on the lap counter. It doesn't change as I cross the line. So we start at lap 10, but the game still thinks I'm on lap 9. So timing screen has completely shit the bed. And you'll see here in a second as we get to the following right-hander, it does jump up to lap 10, but I start falling down the order, so it's like my transponder got lost in the game. Something happened, so I had a bit of an issue with that. I had to do an extra lap, and then I got worried, would I run out of fuel? Because you have to select your own fuel, just like the GP games, but I just usually stick in an extra litre of caution. But at this point I was like, if I have to do an extra lap, I might be struggling to get to the end with fuel. So at this time around I was kind of pushing on a bit, just wanting to get back, but it was on my mind that I might have to do an extra lap, and I knew I had the game footage to show that I was leading, and if I did come home, I think the game actually tells me I finished 6th, even though I'm clearly in the lead. It happened to other people as well that they were 2 laps down, so not too sure exactly what did happen in this one, but the timing screen completely got confused, and usually it does, but it doesn't usually go this bad for us, so it is better in race 2. No, it does happen to people again in race 2, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Now, a lot of people are crossing the line now, and they're starting lap 10, whereas I'm at the end of lap 10, but I'm about to start lap 11, as you'll see in a second. You can see as well, my last lap time is a 3:36, which is like a double lap put together, so the game is like, oh, it's obviously not counted me going through one of the transponders. Into the final corner we come for the victory. This should be the final corner of the race, but you'll see here the marshal is waving the white flag, which means we're about to start the last lap. So once again, it does say 1 minute, or sorry, it does say 10 out of 10 laps, but as we keep going on here, it does jump to lap 11 out of 10, so I have to push on to an extra lap, but I've technically already won the race, but I had to keep going because I didn't get the checker flag on my screen, and I wasn't in the Discord chat with any of the organisers, so I just wanted to keep going and see. But you see me here now in this lap, I make actually a bit of a mistake in here because I'm focusing on the time boards, run off track, just go through someone's garden, quick look over my shoulder, and just rejoin again. So I'm more focused now on the laps, and you see now it's gone up to lap 11 out of 10, so more issues again with the timing screen, unfortunately. And yeah, no, thankfully the organisers did understand what had happened, and I also had footage to show, so I could prove that I didn't finish 6th. And apparently it did happen to others as well. Other people said they were 2 laps down, so I don't envy the people who have to try and sort out the results for race 1 here after all these issues. But we come in now to the hairpin for the final time, the second final time actually, because we shouldn't even be doing this lap. And you see now here, I just start to short shift a bit up through the gears just to keep the low revs, and I keep it in 6 for most of this because I'm still a bit scared that I'm going to run out of fuel now. I don't think they would penalise me for it because I am doing an extra lap, so I don't know really what would have happened if I did run out of fuel, but thankfully I don't, and we do get the W. We get our first victory in the class. Bit of a anticlimactic one with not being able to cross the line on the right lap and coming home in P6, but we do have another race yet, race 2. We can try and rectify that. You can see now it says lap 11, I think it says, and P6, but we know here, we just slow down here, you just see checker flag there, and we just give it a look back to make sure, but it says P6, so shaking head, bit of confusion, small wheelie to finish. But now we jump to the grid. We did get the victory. I still don't know who came second, who came third. I think Benjamin managed to pull off a P3. I have a little wave back to the boys behind me. They don't seem much interested in waving back at me. Anyway, I did do a bit of practice in between races in the warm-up, just wanting to nail my launch for race 2. And this time round, we do get a pretty good launch. You see here, I get a good launch again, then I just release the clutch here and it bites a bit, but we still managed to get away nice and cleanly into turn 1. Leading this time round, we just want to get a good exit here, just using all of the track out onto the white line, and we do get a nice exit. Well, yellow flag's already being waved, so someone must be down at turn 1. But out of the box now, just want to do what I did in last race, head down, hit my apexes, hit my braking markers. I should have this one in the bag if I can bring it home again. So just pushing on nice and early now, putting the pace down. And remember now, my qualifying time was a 46.1. In this race, we go like sub 45s at some point. We go stupidly quick. I think it's all to do with the track rubbering. You can see there's a nice big black line around this track of rubber being put down. And I remember at the time, you'll see in a few laps here, I did 5 1 minute 45s in a row, which was sub 46 of my qualifying lap, and I just couldn't believe I was going that quick because it didn't feel like I was going much faster. I was doing what I was doing in the previous race, but the track had just rubbered in so much. The grip was just supreme and it was brilliant to ride. And this race we do get a bit of a tail. You can see Tom is into P2 nice and early here. Now he hasn't gotten into my slipstream distance yet. He is quite far back, about a second to a second half, so he's not right on me yet. But he's still close enough that if any slip-ups from me, he could be thereabouts. Using all the track again. The sector there, you really need to push the bike through it. It's a brilliant bit of track. Just as the track points out there, back shift to 5th, throw it in, and then set it up when you get the bike straight. Back shifting all the way into the final corner. 9 more laps to go. Thankfully this one, the timer and the lap counter doesn't glitch out. So we do actually finish on the lead lap for once. So Tom P2, even though the counter up in the top right, see we're all lapped down again already, so it's already glitched out, but it doesn't affect my position. You see now I'm jumping up and down, Fixture's leading, I'm second, Tom's third, but it's me leading, Tom's second. And so one of the issues with this league is it's a bit annoying that nobody knows really where to finish unless they have a recording of the race. But I felt like, especially after a few laps when I saw myself doing 1 minute 45s, that my pace would be so good I'd be able to pull away. But in fairness to Tom, he showed some stupidly fast pace to manage to stick with me. And of course the track would have rubbered in as well for him, so his pace would have increased, but he seemed to be able to go a lot quicker than I thought he had in him, and he managed to kind of reel me in a part of this race. And he was keeping the pressure on. I won't spoil exactly what happens, but you see now we're coming to the end of lap 2, and you'll see our lap time is just stupidly quick. I don't know how the track rubbed in so much in the race between race 1 and race 2, because even on low fuel in race 1 the track wasn't as fast as it was. But it was interesting to see how much a track rubs in, how much faster it gets. You don't really get that in the MotoGP games, but this race was a really good showing of how it works in this game. You can see now we're coming up into the penultimate corner. 150 mile an hour entry, back 1 gear. Love that corner there because you just use all the track. Then you brake, bring it all the way back across, and up to the line we come. So it's going to be a 1 minute 45.9, so that's 2/10 quicker than my qualifying lap. And at this point I was like, that's no way. I don't know how I managed to do that in the earlier laps. I was like, that's brilliant pace. If I can keep that pace up, I'll definitely win this race comfortably. And again, you can see top left of the corner there, I'm up on the following lap again, and I'm thinking that can't be right. There's no way I'm going 0.6 of a lap faster, but up to the line we come, and it's 1 minute 45.3, so that's 0.8 quicker than my qualifying lap. So at this point I'm thinking, I didn't really realise that there was a track rubbering in that much. I was just focusing on my race. I was like, how am I doing such a good pace? And I was worried that I underfueled the bike, or was I after making a mistake, but no, it just was the track rubbering in. And now we jump to lap 6, crash in the first sector, someone being lapped. So we just had to take a small bit of care coming out of here, and just give the marshal a quick wave, thanking him for his services. Now Tom is sticking with me pretty well. He did close in a few parts, but we managed to pull back away from him. So he does have pretty damn good pace. We have a big moment here into turn 3. Losing the rear, just pushing slightly too much, and unfortunately for me, we almost have a mistake. But you can see the marshal waves, the green flag there. That actually was Tom crashing in the same corner again as he crashed in the previous race. So unfortunately for Tom, that's his challenge done. But at this point, I knew I had it in the bag again, so I rode a bit freer for the rest of the lap, and we set our fastest lap of the race. So we'll see at the end of this if I can go sub 1:45 or not, which was the goal. You can see again, just taking a lot of liberty on the brakes. As the race goes on, I was getting much more comfortable with the bike and track, getting a lot of kilometers in under my belt with it, and I just was riding pretty well at the moment. So I was happy with that. And now half a sector to go, or half a lap I should say, and then we should have a pretty comfortable ride to the end. We have a big gap now back, and I think it looks like it's Benjamin or Tom in P2, I'm not too sure. We actually make a bit of a mistake there, dropping a wheel off the curb, kicking the bike up, but we're still on a very fast lap this time around. Now the counter doesn't say it, but it is a lot faster into this final corner. I think we make up all our time, because I think this is my fastest lap, or maybe it's the next one, but the counter says no for this one, so it mustn't be this one. Up the line, another 45, so we're still in the 45, so it must be this one I set my fastest lap. So just getting the head down and making sure I pull away. It's always good in league race if you are given this opportunity just to try and set kind of 2 or 3 qualifying laps in a row. Usually just bridges the gap, and then the rider behind thinks it's kind of a mental thing with the rider behind. When they see you pulling away at such pace after they've made a mistake, it gives you more confidence. It kind of takes away from them confidence and actually decides the race then if you can kind of keep at a consistent pace from that. So that was what I was trying right now. But we jump to the end of this lap, end of lap 7. Yellow flag somewhere in front. We don't lift because he's on the inside down. We just pin it, we just take a bit of grass to avoid him. Not too sure who it was, but that would have been a big crash through that sector. It is damn fast through there. And into the final corner we come. Bit of grass on our tyres, but we won't worry on that. We get out here lovely quick. Up to the line it is. So we actually have edited out, unfortunately, the fastest lap. I just realised now, but it was 1 minute 44.9, so I went 1.3 quicker than I did in qualifying in race 2. So absolutely ridiculous pace how much the track does hype up with a bit of rubber on it, so it's really cool. So interesting to see that how it works in this game. But we've only a handful of laps left, and once again there now the timing screen did jump there. If you might have noticed, it jumped up lap. So at the time of the race I didn't see that, but watching it back when I edited it, I had noticed that again. It was a bit glitchy, but thankfully when I do cross the line it does give you my accurate position. And yeah, it's overall it must be something to do with the track maybe. I think a lot of people are saying that the transponders are in a weird position and it causes them to have little mistakes, and unfortunately we have issues like this. Again, GP bikes not a really polished game that much, but you can see how we take a lot of time out. This actually, I might have got it wrong, this might be my fastest lap because we're going green into the final sector. Yeah, now that I think of it, this must be my fastest lap. It must be the 44. So into the final sectors we're coming. Absolutely nailed that there, out to the curb, or the white line I should say. There's no curbs, in real life there's a curb there I think, and flat through there. We absolutely nailed that piece of track there. This is better than my qualifying laps, and this is lap 8 of the race, and into the final corner we come, back shifting crazy. And yeah, I was pretty proud of this lap. It really did nail the lap time up to line of come. I knew I was close to a 44, and we did it. 44.97, just getting under. But here we are now on lap 10. And I think that's that Senna guy that took me out in race 1. He crashed and I had to drift my way through the little gap he left me. I tried to hand up again just to give a little wave. And now there's actually a little rider in front of me. You might see yellow flag again, and it turns out it's another teammate of mine. It is Biker. I had lapped him in here. I was just making sure, and he is flapping around in the gravel. I throw my hand up, give him a little wave. He tucks in behind me, and I just look over my shoulder again in a split second just to make sure it was him. And I start to wave at him again, drag him around. Fortunately for him, he doesn't have to do an extra lap. I'm just that waving on. He doesn't wave back, he's too preoccupied. And into the final few corners we come. He did say afterwards to me he did want to try and unlap himself because he didn't want to be a lap, but unfortunately I did not allow that. As you'll see here, I kind of pull away in the last sector just to push to the end of the race and get the double win. So we're going to come home with 2 race wins and pole position and the 2 fastest laps. So I think they call it the gentleman's set we're going to take here in Hengelo in the Netherlands on our CBR 600. So the perfect weekend, they don't come like this much, but you just have to enjoy them when they do. We are missing a couple of the fast guys, so if we had a lot of lads back, I'd probably had a much tougher time. But you can only race what you have at the time, and into the final corner we come. It's going to be a perfect set. Up to the line we come, we just roll off, give a little wheelie, and then we're going to have a little fun now in a second with Reese as he comes up over and he finishes a lap down, but still good points for the team. Reese as well riding the CBR 600 instead of HRC leathers, and yeah, we can just give him a little look, a little wave again, and then already another yellow flag. You'll see here in a second we try and do a little giant wheelie. I do a little wheelie and look back, and he does pop it up for a split second wave wheelie, but then he lands on me and crashes in typical Reese fashion. So I'm going to leave there for today's episode of the R2V League. I hope you have enjoyed this one. It really was a good fun bit of racing at this track. A little bit wild. We had a lot of people joining and pissing about in the lobby, so we will look to rectify that in the future and make it a bit cleaner if we can. But overall, I did have a great time. Obviously winning both races and getting pole position was some good fun, but nice track, something different. You don't really, it's something you wouldn't get on a GP game, a little track like this. So very nice. GP bikes has these little niche races you can get into, so I had some fun with it. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all for watching, and I shall catch you all in the next episode.